Welcome back to DunnZWorld. I'm Dunn. If you're new here, I'm gonna give you a kiss, give you a hug, tell you welcome, you love you here, and if you're returning, welcome back, fam. So like I told y'all in the last video, I was gonna let y'all know how it was being in the military as a 92 Yankee. So that was my MOS. I was a 92 Yankee, which is a unit supply specialist. And so that job, that MOS, has got to be one of the hardest working. I'm not saying they are the hardest, but one of the hardest working MOSs in the Army. Just because you're dealing with so much equipment, you're dealing with property, you're dealing with the management and the accountability of property, and you got to make sure that those hand receipt holders are signing their hand receipts, making sure that they're accountable of their equipment and their shortages and all the components that all this equipment may have. So that's the gist of it, honestly. It's just accountability. Now, being that, in which I don't know how many of you know how the rank structure is, but most companies will have an XO, which is a lieutenant. Maybe sometimes it may be a first lieutenant, sometimes it'll be a second lieutenant, just depends on what's slotted for that specific company. And you'll have a captain, and then you'll have a first sergeant. So the captain, which is, you know, your commander, is basically like your boss. That's the person who you are helping with this property. You are the one that's making sure that that property is good to go. So you are 92 Yankees are the ones that are making sure that the commander is straight. Like, you're making sure that you're covering his six, because if not, like, that's gonna be his ass and your ass too. So there's a lot of pressure that comes with that MOS. Like, it's not no cakewalk. It's not no running through the sunflowers and catching moths and butterflies and shit like that. It's nothing like that. Like, you have to make sure you have, especially when you're doing inventories and especially when you're conducting your hand receipt signings, in which that should be each month. Honestly, it may have changed. I know some people do it every 4 months and every 6 months. But once again, that kind of depends on the company. It depends on how often that company is moving and grooving a lot. Field exercises, deployments, so on and so forth. It just depends on how often they're using that equipment on a day-to-day basis. So with that said, you have to make sure that, because it's the 92 Yankees' job to make sure that all of the hand receipt holders have their most up-to-date TM, SCO, manual, and the TM technical manual, or the SCO, which is sets, kits, and what's the O? Sets, kits, and outfits. That could be wrong. I can't remember, but I know it's sets and kits. So sets and kits is basically like, for example, you'll have, because the last unit I was in was a medical unit, medical company. And so a lot of those medical equipment came with tons of freaking components to it. For example, first aid kit. Now, you already know, like, a first aid kit gonna come with some gauze, bandages, Q-tip, like shit like that, right? So those are all components. Now, being that those are components, they break it down even further to that: expendable, durable, non-expendable. So Q-tips, bandages, gauzes, those will be considered expendables, right? Your non-expendables will be the actual first aid kit, like the whole piece, right? And then your durable is like items that you would use, but not use on a day-to-day basis, right? But it's important that you don't lose it. So expendables are things that you use on a day-to-day basis, but durable and non-expendables, you need to for sure make sure you have that on deck. Like, expendables, if you missing that, cool, fine, it can get ordered. I mean, durables and non-expendables can get ordered too, but it comes with a price, i.e. a statement of charges or a flipple. So with that, like, you have to make sure you have all that stuff down to a T. And that starts with having the most updated SCO, because Sets and Kits SCOs, that manual covers everything you're supposed to have for those type of equipment. And then your technical manuals, which is your TMs, would cover things that you're supposed to have for like your vehicle, like a LMTV or a Humvee or a MRAP, right? Because those come with components. So all of those, some of those are expendable, but a lot of them are non-expendable. And so you have to make sure you have all of that. I know I'm probably saying terms that y'all like, what? But hey, listen, you can go look it up and do your own personal research, or if you've been in the military, or if you're 92 Yankee, I'm sure you're hip. So that right there is a headache within itself, because because a lot of the TMs change. Some of them are updated a lot more than often. This website tells you how much of what you're supposed to have for your unit. Each unit is different, each duty station is different, and everything is tailored to that specific unit, because some units deploy more than others, some units go to the field more than others, and other units don't. They don't do shit. So it tells you specifically what you're supposed to have. It also tells you how many personnel you're supposed to have within that company too. So that's key and that's major. And that tells you by LIN or line number. And it's up to you to ensure that your property book matches that, rather than filling it in because you're short that, or getting rid of it and turning it in because you have too much of it. You have an overage of it. So it is your job to ensure that your property book is literally dress to this list of things that you're supposed to have within your company. Not per se personnel, because that's more so of like your headquarters platoon, they take care of that. Or like your S1, they'll take care of that, making sure like, okay, supposed to have 292 Yankees in this company. Okay, bet we got a 92 Yankee coming in over here, so they're gonna fill this company over here. That's more so S1. Property, that's all on 92 Yankees. You gotta make sure like you got everything you're supposed to have, right? That right there ensures that. So making sure that you have everything that you're supposed to have on your property book, as well as this list. The MTO will tell you what you're supposed to have as far as equipment, and the MTO comes out every fiscal year, right? Sometimes it changes, sometimes it don't, but you have to ensure that whatever that MTO says your company is supposed to have, that's what you need to have on your property book. Now, if you are short something, you need to fill it. If it's something you have too much of, you need to turn it in, whether that's the SSA or DRMO or LR, whatever. Like, you have to get rid of it to make sure that your property book is flush with the MTO. Like, that is key. Like, the MTO regulations, TMs, and SCOs are like your go-tos, okay? Because that's literally what you rely on to make sure that you have everything you're supposed to have as a 92 Yankee in the Army. With that being said, making sure that you have all those things will guarantee that you will have a smooth change of command, right? If you haven't been in the military, or if you have been in the military and you've worked amongst supply or 92 Yankees, or you were a 92 Yankee, you know how strenuous and stressful a change of command is. Like, from printing out all those hand receipts and ensuring that everything is up to date as far as shortage annexes, making sure you have documents from the historical documents that covers whatever it's lacking, or to cover, like, for example, if there's a tent that's fucked up and it hasn't been fixed, you have to flipple for that. You understand what I'm saying? Because granted, Your current commander may be hip to what's going on, but you have to ensure that your incoming commander is tracking all of that equipment, because essentially he's going to be the one that's signing for all of that, and he's going to be the one that's responsible for it. Now, the commander is responsible for the equipment, but at the end of the day too, you also have hand receipt holders that are actually managing it, right? And ensuring that it's spoken for and that it's accounted for. But everything falls on the commander. Like, you know, it doesn't look good on him. It doesn't, for her. It doesn't look good if equipment is constantly lost or damaged for that commander. Like, that could possibly put that commander in jeopardy of being relieved. I've seen it happen before. So, like, a 92 Yankees job is very important. Granted, it is so many of us, so many 92 Yankees, but their job is so important. And I think people don't understand how, like, in the trenches 92 Yankees really be. And that's why when I was in, I networked a lot. I networked and I talked to a lot of other 92 Yankees. I talked to, you know, 92 Golfs and 92 Albas and, you know, 88 Mikes. And I talk to different MOSs, because the more you network and you talk to those other MOSs, the better you can understand the equipment and just how things run. And shoot, like, you help them, they'll help you, right? We all here to do the same thing. We all here, we got a job to do. So if we can work together and get it done quicker and get it done right, like, that's one less thing we got to worry about amongst the other bullshit we got to deal with on a day-to-day basis in the military, right? So I always tell people that. But so 92 Yankee, right? Change command, making sure you have all those up-to-date documents, have all those up-to-date TMs, woo-doo, hand receipt up-to-date, making sure that it's signed, making sure that the hand receipt is signed by the hand receipt and the commander, because a lot of times people will have signed hand receipts, right, by the hand receipt holder, but the commander didn't sign it. He got to sign it too, as well as the cyclic and the sensitive item inventory. Now, granted, supply will never have to conduct that, but supply does have to ensure that there are, once again, up-to-date TMs, up-to-date scopes, so on and so forth, because sometimes they will just inventory the non-expendable stuff, but it's 15%. I would say inventory the components of that 15% that you have to inventory with that cyclic and that sensitive, because why just inventory that item? I mean, you're killing two birds with one stone. You might as well make sure the components is there too. Granted, it's easy to just go verify, check the serial number, boom, it's there. I seen that, laid eyes on it, check, move on to the next. But just make sure the components there too. Like, at least like that gives you a peace of mind that, okay, if anything was to ever come about with this specific item, you can say, you know what, I did lay eyes on it, I saw it, it was there. You know, understand what I'm saying? And even too, like, writing down, because I had a binder of all of the cyclic inventories and sensitive inventories, and whomever conducted them, I had them write down on that cyclic and sensitive inventory where the equipment was. That way, the next time somebody would inventory it, or if it ever came up again, boom, it's right here, right? Because in this month it was inventory, and boom, go look over there. So it's stressful, but if you are an organizer and you know how to prioritize, you will be okay. But if you're not, life is gonna suck. Life is gonna suck terribly. Life is gonna suck in the worst way. You're not even gonna know what's going on. Like, your mind is gonna be doing 360s daily, and you're not even gonna know why, because there's just so much shit coming your way with this equipment, and you wouldn't even know where to grab control of the wheel or the reins to try to get everything organized. That's how it genuinely is. Like, it's a lot at once, and it's a lot for just one person to deal with. And some of these supply rooms will have one NCO or one specialist or one PFC, and they are literally accountable or accounted for over $15 million worth of equipment, and they don't have the slightest clue of where half the shit is. Some of these units will have stuff tucked in a container, or tucked somewhere in another company's AO, or just tucked somewhere in the motor pool, like don't know where it is, right? But whenever you do those 15% or 10% inventories, and whenever those hand receipt holders do their inventories, because that's supposed to be monthly, like I said, things may have changed. Some do it every 4 months, some do it every 6 months, whatever, however your unit, you know, facilitates that. But the more you inventory and can write down and pinpoint where everything is, the better you will have inventories, the better your change command will be. Because so many times when stuff hit the fan, NVGs want to go missing. That's an item that, for the life of me, I don't understand how it goes missing, but NVGs get misplaced all the time. Daggers, like, people lose daggers, bro. Daggers go missing too. So, but a lot of those items are supposed to be locked up in an arms room. So the fact that they go missing and they're not in their arms room, somebody getting the shit into the stick with that. And 9 times out of 10, it's probably gonna be that hand receipt holder. Cause how is this item not in the arms room, or it's signed out, but you don't have a hand receipt to show who it's signed out to? That's another thing. Whenever you sign for some equipment, you have to make sure that that thing is on a 2062, baby. Because that 2062 is the only thing that's gonna save your ass if that piece of item or that item goes missing. If you just say, all right, yeah, you can borrow it for whatever, you know, you got some training coming up, or oh, you need it for an exercise, or oh, you need to use it for the field, or whatever, you cool, I trust you, go ahead, take it. Hell no, you need to put that on a 2062, baby, because anything could happen. Anything could happen. When you go into the field and you're doing these field exercises and you're doing this training, it's so many moving people, it's so many moving pieces, and it's that quick and that easy to lose something, especially a dagger. Like, a dagger is probably like the size of my phone. It's probably like the size of my phone. Like, it's way too easy to lose that. It could fall out your pocket, it could fall out the vehicle, like it could just fall out of the back of the vehicle, whatever, just off of you, like downloading stuff. Like, anything can happen. So I stress that so much. But yeah, being a 92 Yankee is not for the weak, bro. It's not easy. Like, boy, I got some stories for days about that. But that's just a quick little glimpse about 92 Yankee MOS in the Army, unit supply specialist. That's what I did, that's what I dealt with, and that's how I went about making sure that my property book was accounted for, and making sure that I had the most up-to-date paperwork, and ensuring that all my hand receipt holders had everything that they were short on hand receipts, on shortage annexes, and making sure that I had them bad boys ordered and coming in to fill it. You know what I'm saying? So I could go on and on about that too, but hey, if y'all want to know more, if y'all want to learn more about this whole 92 Yankee MOS thing, or if you're thinking about joining, or you want to add on to anything that I said, go ahead and drop that in the comments. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that notification bell. That way you stay in the loop whenever I post a video. And until next time, fam, peace.